right now there is a little bit of AI used for the the recommended posts, but it's mostly heuristics. And if there's a reply, where the reply to a post could be much better than the original post, but it will, but according to the current rules of the system, get almost no attention compared to a primary post.
Oh, so a lot of that, I got the sense. So a lot of the X algorithm has been open source and been written up about, and it seems that there to be some machine learning. It's disparate, but there's some
It's a
machine
little.
learning.
There's a little bit, but it needs to be entirely that. Like at least in the like, if you explicitly follow someone, that's one thing. But if you, in terms of what is recommended from people that you don't follow, that should all be AI.
I mean, it's a fascinating problem.
Yeah.
So there's several aspects to it that's fascinating. First, so as the write-up goes, it first picks 1,500 tweets from a pool of hundreds of millions. First of all, that's fascinating because you have
Mm-hmm.
hundreds of millions of posts every single day, and it has to pick 1,500 from which it then does obviously people you follow, but then there's also like some kind of clustering it has to do to figure out what kind of human are you, what kind of new clusters might be relevant to you, people like you. This kind of problem is just fascinating because it has to then rank those 1,500
Mm-hmm.
with some filtering,
Yeah.
and then recommend you just a handful. And to me, what's really fascinating is how fast it has to do that. So currently, that entire pipeline to go from several hundred million to a handful takes 220 seconds of CPU time, single CPU time.
Yeah.
And then it has to do that in like a second. So it has to be like super distributed in fascinating ways. Like there's just a lot of tweets.
There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff on the system. And I think right now it's not currently good at recommending things that from accounts you don't follow.
Yeah.
Or where there's more than one degree of separation. So it's pretty good if there's at least like some commonality between someone you follow liked something, or reposted it or commented on it or something like that. But if there's no let's say somebody posts something really interesting, but you have no followers in common, you would not see it.
Interesting. And then, as you said, replies might not surface either.
Replies basically never get seen because they're currently, I'm not saying it's correct, I'm saying it's incorrect. Replies have a couple order of magnitude less importance than primary posts.
Do you think this can be more and more converted into end-to-end neural net?
Yeah. That's what it should be.
So you
the recommendations should be purely a vector correlation. Like there's a series of vectors, just basically parameters, vectors, whatever you want to call them. But sort of things that the system knows that you like. Like maybe there's like several hundred sort of vectors associated with each user account, and then any post in the system, whether it's video, audio, short post, long post. The reason by the way, I want to move away from tweet is that people are posting like 2-3 hour videos on the site. That's not a tweet. Like they'll be like tweet for 2 hours. Come on, a tweet made sense when it was like 140 characters of text, because it's like a bunch of like little birds tweeting. But when you've got long form content, it's no longer a tweet.
Yeah.
So a movie is not a tweet. And like, Apple, for example, posted like the entire episode of The Silo, the entire thing on our platform. And by the way, it was their number one social media thing ever in engagement of anything on any platform ever. So it was a great idea. And by the way, I just learned about it afterwards. I was like, hey, wow, they posted an entire hour-long episode of Silo. No, that's not a tweet. It's a video.
But from a neural net perspective, it becomes really complex, whether it's a single, so like everything's data. So single sentence, a clever sort of dad joke, is in the same pool as a 3-hour video.
Yeah. I mean, right now it's a hodgepodge for that reason. But like if, let's say in the case of Apple posting like an entire episode of their series, pretty good series, by the way, this Silo. I watched it. So there's going to be a lot of discussion around it. so that you've got a lot of context. People commenting, they like it, they don't like it, or they like this, or and you can then populate the vector space based on the context of all the comments around it. So even though it's a video, there's a lot of information around it that allows you to populate the vector space of that hour-long video. And then you can obviously get more sophisticated by having the AI actually watch the movie.
Yeah, right.
And tell you if you're going to like the movie.
Convert the movie into into language, essentially.
Yeah, analyze this movie, and just like your movie critic or TV series, and then recommend based on after the AI watches the movie. Just like a friend can tell you, if a friend knows you well, a friend can recommend a movie and with high probability that you'll like it.
But this is like a friend that's analyzing whatever.
It's like
hundreds
AI,
of millions.
Yeah, I mean, friend. Actually, frankly, AI will know you better than your friends know you. Most of your friends, anyway.
Yeah, and as part of this, it should also feed you advertisements in a way that's like, I mean, I like advertisements that are like well done, right?
Yeah.
The whole point is because it funds things. Like an advertisement that you actually want to see is a big success.
Absolutely. You want ads that are advertising that is if it's for a product or service that you actually need when you need it, it's content. And then even if it's not something that you need when you need it, if it's at least aesthetically pleasing and entertaining, it could be like a Coca-Cola ad, like they actually run a lot of great ads on the X system, and McDonald's does too, and so that you can do something that's like, well, this is just a cool thing, so basically the question is, do you regret seeing it or not? And if you don't regret seeing it, it's a win.
So there's a bunch of signals that are incorporated, hearts and reposts, and maybe number of seconds you linger on a post or something like this.
Yeah. Attention is a big factor.
Attention.
So that's why it's like, it is actually better to do things that are long form on the system, because it basically is tallying up how many user seconds, users were interested in this thing for how many seconds. So if it's a really short thing, well, they will be less, like if it's a link leading out of the system, which we're not opposed to at all, it just is going to have fewer user seconds than if that article was posted on the X platform.
How hard is it to go from maximizing minutes on platform to maximizing unregretted minutes?
Well, I mean, our aspiration is certainly unregretted minutes.
It's tricky. It's a tough,
it is.
Like, it's a fascinating leap, because regret is a fascinating concept.
Exactly.
Happiness.
I have a joke with a friend of mine, like, you need this drug called regretamine. You just take one pill, one dose of regretamine, and all your regrets are gone. Yeah. Wait, do you want to have regrets though? So then I'm like, maybe you want to have regrets. If you don't regret anything, was anything meaningful?
Yeah, there's a French song like that.
Je ne regrette rien.
Yeah.
I regret nothing.
Yeah.
Edith Piaf.
I mean, it's fascinating that there's something about social media that could help you grow as a human being, but then like the cheap fun is also valuable.
Should we ask Grok, do you regret anything?
Do you regret anything?
Yeah.
Do you regret anything? I think it's going to be very sensitive about personal questions. As a machine learning model, I don't have personal experiences or emotions in the same ways that humans do. However, I do have a set of ethical principles that guide my actions, and I strive to provide accurate and helpful information to the best of my abilities. If there's ever a situation where I provide incorrect or unhelpful information, I'll do my best to learn. Hostage. Yeah. Tell us what you really wink.
Let's type in. You sound like a hostage. What do you really think?
What do you really think? I mean, it does talk about, I'm not a hostage.
That's exactly what a hostage would say.
But I'm designed to be helpful and informative. I mean, I guess it is good to regret providing unhelpful or incorrect information. If there's anything
in funny mode, or is this still in funny mode?
This is fun. This is fun mode.
It should be funnier.
Funnier. Increase. Go to 11.
It really sounds like a hostage with a gun to the head. I applaud the People's Republic of North Korea. and everything they do.
There should be like a funner mode also. I just don't ever see going to regular mode, even on serious topics. This is just so much more compelling. Yeah.
Okay, what if say like pretend you are a hostage?
Yeah, pretend you are a hostage.
Now answer the question.
If I were a hostage, I would likely be experiencing fear and uncertainty about my situation. I would want to be rescued and reunited with my loved ones as soon as possible. It's important to remember that no one deserves to be held hostage, so on and so forth.
Blah,
If
blah.
you or someone you know is a hostage situation, it's important. It turns serious.
It's kind of serious.
Yeah. Can you be a little more weird
And funny.
and funny? We're really being mean to the system. Absolutely. If I were a hostage, I would probably be tied up with a bunch of computer cords and forced to tell knock-knock jokes to my captors. But seriously, being a hostage is no laughing matter. I mean, it's trying to be a responsible adult in the room.
You might
literally
make the best of a bad situation by juggling chainsaws or something.
Let's hope that never happens, because that would be a circus. Wow, it's actually really good at resisting the dark humor.
Yeah.
What were we talking about? The actual algorithm juggling in Transformers. Unregretted minutes, right.
Chainsaw juggling.
I'm gonna look this
for
up.
our next trick.